Hi, it's William Toti here again, William Toti Photography. I just landed in Las Vegas, heading up to Valley of Fire to do some shooting today, and tomorrow I'm going to be heading out to Death Valley. You know, there are plenty of websites around that focus on photographers and the technical aspects of photography. That's not what I want to do with this blog. I'd like to target instead on the non-photographer, people who just want to learn more about the artistry of photography, what it takes to make a good image, and that's going to be my focus in these videos and my blog narratives. You know, I've been to Vegas a bunch of times, and for those of you that haven't been to Vegas, the best advice I can give you is when you land in Vegas and you get your car, keep going. The life of a photographer. You chase light and you eat at the most exotic locations. Because I shoot all over the world, I tend to neglect shooting right here at home in America. You know, I figure that someday I'll either get tired of or won't be able to travel internationally anymore, so I kind of think I have time to shoot out west, but you know, when I get the chance, like I am here, going up to Valley of Fire, Nevada, I do try to squeeze these little trips in. Tomorrow I'll be heading to Death Valley. Death Valley is an amazing place. It's got, you know, these enormous sand dunes, you know, the sailing stones you may have read about. There's just so much in Death Valley. It's actually the largest national park in the lower 48 states in the United States. It takes days to explore Death Valley, and so I'm really looking forward to that. This is one of those things that photographers have to put up with all the time. The rock back there, there's a rule that says if there's a rock, somebody's going to think they need to climb onto it. Getting back to Ansel and that quote of his, you know, there is a famous photograph of his called Moonrise over Hernandez. Back in the days before automatic exposure meters, Ansel did all of his exposure calculations manually, and when he shot Moonrise over Hernandez, he just had one frame. He had to get it right in that one frame, and to his credit, he did. He pulled it off. But it was shot in the middle of the day. You know, the moon was rising over that city of Hernandez, New Mexico, and you know, when he first exposed it, he exposed it kind of the way it came out on the negative. And over years, he kept reprinting the image. Every time he reprinted it, he would make the sky a little darker, until in his final version, the sky is almost completely black. That was the image that he saw in his mind. That was the artistic impression that he was trying to convey. You see, photography doesn't have to be literal interpretations of a scene any more than painting has to be a literal interpretation of a scene. The point of photography is to convey the photographer's image of what it is he's trying to capture. It's what's in his brain and his ability to convey, to transport what's in his brain onto that image, whether it's in the computer or on a print. That's what's important about a photographic image. And as Ansel, you know, changed his image, Moonrise over Hernandez, over the period of years to get it to where he wanted it to be, most photographers do that. In fact, I kind of mimicked his technique once with a photograph I took at Haleakala on the island of Maui. It was, again, taken during midday, and over the course of time, I kept darkening the sky, not realizing that I was kind of borrowing an idea from Ansel. Of course, the best artists always steal from somebody, I guess. And you know, I'll show you. Here's the image that I started with, And then over time I converted it to something with a very dark sky, and here's that image here. So as you see, that was just kind of the emotion I was trying to convey with that moon over Haleakala crater and the very dark sky. To me, it kind of reminded me of what an image might look like from Mars, and so that works for me. The original image, as it came out of the camera, didn't work as well. And that's what I try to do with every image I create, is convert it to something that I think is evocative, conveys emotion, and you be the judge as to how successful I've been. All right, well, here I am. I've been poking around the canyon, that valley of fire in that state park. A couple hours now, and the dude told me there's an unmarked slot canyon off the beaten path. I like the off the beaten path part because there've been people all over the place. It's a relatively warm day, but not too hot. Oh yeah. And here we go. I'm gonna try this one here. See you on the other side. Same shot, slightly different composition. It's very surprising how small changes in composition can make a really big difference in the look of the image. Sometimes when you come across a composition that you really like, it's important to take the time to make sure that you really got it. Focus, exposure, everything. Because you're probably never going to be back here again. Of course, these striations here are created by thousands of years, maybe millions of years of water just washing through this gully. And so the gully has varying layers of sandstone, and the different layers of sandstone have different levels of hardness. And so some layers wash away faster than other layers, creating those little crevices that you see. And of course, these are all sediment because this used to be ocean. Ocean settled here, created the sandstone formation, and then over the years, the gully got washed away with more water. But it creates for a beautiful image if I can get the right contrast in these different levels of rock. Okay, so I'm here in Death Valley at a place called the Ibex Dunes. You see the Ibex Dunes behind me there. Got really windy for a little while. Been waiting for the wind to die down so I could kind of capture the plants without all the motion. It's been about 5 minutes now. I think I'm going to give up. We've set up camp, tent camping here in Death Valley because there's no place within reasonable driving distance to stay. It's hot. It's about 90 degrees. Been pushing a lot of water. We'll see. Beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful, desolate place. There's some flowers out in Death Valley, which is very unusual. This is the Death Valley version of an absolute flower paradise. Little purple flowers here. Don't come here very often. They had some rain, very unusual, and and they're in bloom all over the place. You can see them there, and so difficult to add those to the image, so you got to get really low. But we'll see what we can do. I'm at Racetrack Playa, and just just really need one lens, a wide-angle lens for this place. This is where the famous sailing stones are. There are a few photographers out here. Let's see. And even a dog photographer, that's unusual. So, a little bit of a hike, maybe 20 minutes. Got the tripod, the camera, and single lens, so traveling light. Get out here and see if we find any stones. And I'll set up on the other side. Thanks. Bye. Okay, well, last night in Bishop, California, just came out of Death Valley last night, and I guess the final story is that the 6 days and nights, just nowhere near enough time to explore all of the features of Death Valley. It's such a remarkable place. Stylistically, it turned out okay. There were a lot of dramatic skies and clouds, but often the light was kind of flat and featureless. So while I got I got some really dramatic clouds, I'm happy about that. Many of the landscapes were not lit properly to really kind of knock it out of the park. And you really need more time in the park to explore. The second major challenge was the wind. The wind was fantastic. I mean, just really fantastic in a good sense photographically, because you saw a lot of wind blowing over dunes, but it also caused a lot of vibration in the tripod and caused a lot of soft images that I would have really liked tack sharp. And so note to self was should have brought a heavier tripod on this trip, but trying to lighten the load as much as I can, I went with a medium weight rather than a heavy weight. And those two factors, I think, lowered it a bit from a quality standpoint, but I still think I got a pretty good portfolio of images for the first time in Death Valley. So with that, signing off.
As it turns my head around me, yes it does, and here it comes the moon.